So today I want to go over a question that has plagued many. Most people do not know the truth concerning this question. Was the Sabbath also for the Gentiles? And it's very easily answered. You could answer it with just one particular scripture in Exodus and be finished. I'll go ahead and go to screen share and we'll get started. Exodus 31. And Jehovah spoke unto Moses, saying, Speak also unto the children of Israel, saying, Verily, my Sabbaths you shall keep, because it is a sign between me and you throughout your generations, that you may know that I am Jehovah that does sanctify you. And you shall keep the Sabbath, therefore, for it is holy unto you. And everyone that defiles it shall surely be put to death, for whosoever does any work therein, that soul shall be cut off from among his people. Okay? Verse 16, Wherefore the children of Israel shall keep the Sabbath, to observe the Sabbath throughout the generations for a perpetual covenant. It is a sign between me and the children of Israel forever. Does it say the Gentiles? No. Okay, this video should be over. But unfortunately, because many Gentiles now think they're spiritual Israelites or Jews, they think that the Sabbath applies to them. Let's go straight to Colossians 2. Now, Paul, verse 16, Paul was talking to the Colossians. Were they Israelites? No, they were Gentiles. We'll start in verse 8, actually. Beware lest any man spoil you through philosophy and vain deceit, after the tradition of men, after the rudiments of the world, and not after Moshiach. For in him dwells all the fullness of the Theos in the body. So Jehovah dwells in him. They took this Godhead and they tried to make the Moshiach God, as it were. There is only one Elohim, and that is the Father. So in him dwells Jehovah, in his body. And you are complete in him, which is the head of all principality, or all beginning. Why does it say principality instead of beginning? I'm going to show you something that you have not been told before. And authority from all the beginning or origin and authority. What is that? Remember, Jehovah tells Eve and Satan, he will put enmity between her seed and Satan's seed. I did a video on that. You can go look back in my videos, not that far from that, from this date. I did a video on that. I explained it carefully. So, in the origin, in the beginning, it was set up that a Moshiach would come through Eve's seed, as it were, on Eve's side, and the Gentiles would be on Satan's side, or Satan's seed. What Paul is saying here, that Moshiach is the head of all, every beginning and authority. So in other words, if you were born a Gentile, he can still take you as one of his own. Why? Because he is going to smash the head of the serpent. In whom are you circumcised with the circumcised made without hands? The circumcision of the heart, which is the new covenant, which will also be given to Israel when the time of the Gentiles has ended, and putting off the body of the sins of the flesh by the circumcision of, not Christ, Moshiach, the anointed one, buried with him in baptism, wherein you also risen up with him through faith and the activity of Jehovah, who raised him from the dead, and you being dead in your sins and the uncircumcision of your flesh. Yes, he was talking to the Gentiles. He will quicken together along with him, having forgiven you of your trespasses, blotting out the handwritten ordinance that was against us. You see, because the ordinances were to set Israel apart from the Gentiles. Okay, I'll show you in just a minute. Which was contrary to us. Yes, it was. It made you automatically the seed of Satan, and took it out of the way, and nailing it to this, not cross, stauros, and having stripped off the origin. In other words, stripping off you're no longer Satan's seed. If you call upon the name of Jehovah through Yehoshua. And authority. He made a show of them, exposed openly, triumphing over them in it. That is a part of the smashing of the head of the serpent. Okay? Let no man judge you in meat or in drink. Huh? That's right. Let no man judge you in eating or in drink or in respect to a holy day or of the new moon or of the Sabbath days, which are a shadow of things to come. But the body is Moshiach. Let no man beguile you of your reward, or steal your reward in a voluntary humility and worshiping of angels, intruding on those things which he has not seen. In other words, making graven images of celestial beings in opposition to the one he has not seen. What are Christians doing today? That's exactly what they're doing, exactly what Paul said not to do. And that negates everything he said in this area, in this passage right here. So, once again, let's see, I had a thought here and I wanted to make sure that I got it right. Now, let us consider what happened to the lost tribes of Israel. I'm not talking about Judah and Benjamin, the Jews. I'm talking about the lost tribes of Israel. Hosea 2. I need to go all the way to the beginning, and the reason is because the Gentiles who are so-called church Gentiles are doing exactly the same thing that the children of Israel did in Hosea 2. And they expect that they will be treated differently than Israel was. Well, I got news for you. You're wrong. So he says in verse 1, say unto your brethren, Ami, and to your sisters, Ruhamah, plead with your mother. Plead, for she is not my wife, neither am I her husband. Let her therefore be put away. Let her therefore put away her whoredoms out of her sight, and her adulteries from between her breasts. Lest I strip her naked, and set her as the day that she was born, and make her as a wilderness, and set her like a dry land, and slay her with thirst. I will not have mercy upon her children, for they are the children of whoredoms. For their mother has played the harlot, she has conceived them. And she that conceived them has done shamefully. For she said, I will go after my lovers that give me my bread and my water, my wool and my flax and my oil and my drink. And therefore, behold, I will hedge up the way with thorns and make a wall that she will not find her path. Then she shall follow after her lovers, but she shall not overtake them. And she shall seek them, but she shall not find them. Then she shall say, I will go and return to my first husband, for then it was better with me than now. For she did not know that I gave her corn and wine and oil, and multiplied her silver and gold, which then she turned around and prepared for Baal, Apollyon, Tammuz, Jesus, all the same false god. Therefore, I will return and take away my corn in the time thereof, and my wine in the season thereof, and will recover my wool and my flax given to cover her nakedness. And I will now discover or uncover her lewdness in the sight of her lovers, and none shall deliver her out of my hand. I will also cause, verse 11, listen carefully, all her mirth to cease, her feast days, her new moons, her Sabbaths, and all her solemn feasts. Did you get that? He took that all away from the 10 tribes of Israel, led by Ephraim. He took it all away. And he didn't give it back to them. And I will destroy her vines and her fig trees, whereof she has said, these are my rewards that my lover has given me. And I will make them a forest, and a beast of the field shall eat them. Beasts of the field shall eat them. And I will visit upon her the days of Balaam, where she burned incense to them, or to him, Baal. And she decked herself with earrings and her jewels, and she went after her lovers and forgot me, saith Jehovah. Now, of course, you can read the rest of this, and you will see that he's going to, when the time of the Gentiles comes to an end, he's going to bring all Israel back and have mercy. Now, he called the 10 tribes of Israel Gentiles. He gave the 10 tribes of Israel a bill of divorcement. Now, Jeremiah 3, verse 8. We'll start at verse 1. They say, if a man put away his wife and she go away from him and become another man's wife, shall he let her return unto him again? Shall not that land be greatly polluted if that happens? But you've played the harlot with many lovers, yet return again to me, saith Jehovah. Lift up your eyes into all the high places. Oh, speaking of high places, folks, let's look up this word, high places. I really wanted to do this, and I had almost forgotten about it. Where is this? In the days. Okay, high places. Shafi, 8205 in Strong's Concordance. I think it's the right one. I may have to see Hebrew Shafah. I think it might be Shafah that I'm looking for. I may have to, hold on. Let me go back for a second here. I'm going to hold right here and look up high places. All right. 2 Kings 12, verse 3. It's that one, I do believe. Bamah. That was the one I'm looking for. 1116 in Strong's Concordance in the Hebrew. A high place of uncertain derivative. High place, high place, right? Number one, a high place, a mountain. Number two, high places like a battlefield, the chief places of the land giving possessions, victory, and dominion. Okay. Number three, high places as places of worship. Listen carefully, people. At first on hills and on mountains, later on artificial mounds or platforms under green trees and in cities, and still later for the chapels. Yes, you read it, you heard it. The chapels erected thereon, and once apparently for a portable sanctuary decked with diverse colors. Yes, folks, with the chapels with your stained glass windows are the high places that he's talking about. I hope you got that. Now we're going to go back to Jeremiah 3. And seeing where you have laid, seeing whom you have laid with, and in the ways you have sat on them. As the Arabian in the wilderness, you have polluted the land with your whoredoms and your wickedness. Therefore, your showers have been withheld, and there has been no latter rain. And you have had a whore's forehead, you refuse to be ashamed. Will you not from this time cry unto me, my father, you are the guide of my youth? Will he reserve his anger forever? Will he keep it to the end? Behold, you have spoken and done evil things as only you could. Jehovah has also said unto me in the days of Josiah king, have you seen that which backsliding Israel has done? She has gone up on every high mountain, under every green tree, yes, and later in every chapel, stained glass chapel, and there has played the harlot. And I said, after she had gone and done these things, turn back to me, but she returned not. And her treacherous sister Judah saw it. Yes, Israel and Judah saw it. And I saw when for all the causes whereby backsliding Israel committed adultery, I had put her away and gave her a bill of divorcement, which means that the 10 tribes of Israel would at that point become Gentiles, rejected, as all the other Gentiles were. And it says, yet her treacherous sister Judah feared not and went out and played the harlot also. But nowhere in here does it say that he gave Judah a bill of divorcement. His biggest contention with Judah is they were faking it. The house of Israel were blatant and brazen. But in verse 10 it says, Judah, the Jews, yet for all this her treacherous sister, Judah had not turned back to me with her whole heart, but faked, said Jehovah. Example, Matthew 15. Verse 1. Then came to Yehoshua, not Jesus, not Jesus, scribes and Pharisees, which were of Jerusalem, saying, why do your disciples transgress the commandments? Nope, that's not what they said. The tradition of the elders, for they wash not their hands when they eat bread. But Yehoshua answered and said unto them, why do you transgress the commandment of Jehovah by your tradition? For Jehovah commanded, saying, honor your father and your mother. And he that curses his father or mother shall die the death. But you say, whosoever shall say to his father or mother, it is a gift by whatsoever you might be profited by me, and then honor not his father or his mother, he shall be free. In other words, pay the elders and the Pharisees and the chief priests a bribe, and you can go ahead and dishonor your father and your mother. In doing so, he says, you have made the commandment of Jehovah of none effect by your tradition, you hypocrites. Well did Isaiah prophesy of you, saying, this people draws nigh unto me with their mouth and honors me with their lips, but their heart is far from me. In vain do they worship me, teaching for the doctrines and the commandments of men. So in this particular point, I believe it was in Jeremiah 3, right here, verse 10, it says, and for all this her treacherous sister Judah had not turned unto me with her whole heart, but faked with deception, with falsehood, saith Jehovah. And then right here in verse 11 it says that the backsliding Israel was worse, justified herself more than treacherous Judah. And yet he still is telling them, come back to him, come back to him. All right. So let's see. Did I cover? Did I cover? Let's see if this is concerning Israel or Judah. 6. This is concerning Jerusalem, which is representing Judah. Okay. Once again, there was no bill of divorcement for Judah, so Judah was still required to keep the Sabbaths. But since Israel was given a bill of divorcement, they became Gentiles. Okay? So then, let us see what happens with the Sabbath. We read in Colossians 2, right here, says that let no man judge you in meat or in drink or respect any holy day or in the new moon or of the Sabbath days, which are a shadow of things to come. Does that mean that those things are all eliminated? No. It says they are a shadow of things to come. What do you mean? Number one, the Sabbath is a representation of the Messianic era. But let me show you what will happen in the Messianic era. Let's see, Isaiah 66. We were over this, I went over this yesterday, or the day before yesterday, maybe. I already forgot what, let's see, verse 23. Right. We'll start in, well, actually, I'll start in verse 18 because this is concerning what's going to happen. The two witnesses that are going to strike blows against the Gentiles. And he names the name, the nations by name. I may want to, well, I'll do partly this one and part New American Version. For I know their works and their thoughts, and it shall come that I will gather all the Goyi, the nations and tongues, and they shall come and see my glory. And I pointed out the glory that they will come and see is the hand that he lays upon them. It's written in Ezekiel 39. I went over that just a couple of videos ago. Then I will set a sign among them, and I will send the survivors of Joel 2, in other words, children of Holocaust survivors, the Jews that escaped out of the land of the Gentiles, back to the Gentiles. Yeah, you read Revelation 11, you will see that he's going to send exactly two of them. To Tarshish, Pul, and Lud, warrior nations, nations that draw the bow. In other words, the strongest nations. To Tubal, that would be also Meshach and Rosh, and Greece, and to the coastlands afar off, that would be Europe and North Africa, that have not heard my fame, neither have they seen my glory. And those two are going to declare his glory among the Gentiles. How? 3.5 years of no rain and every kind of plague. I pointed this out in the previous video. Might want to check it out. It doesn't say, and they shall bring your brethren. It says, and your brethren will come like an offering unto Jehovah out of all the nations upon birds. Let's go to Strong's Concordance. For those who've not read the Bible using Strong's Concordance, I strongly suggest that you do so. That you will no longer be deceived by the translators. Doesn't say, and they shall. It says, come in. Brethren. So all the brethren are going to come in like an offering, like a gift tribute unto Jehovah, out of all the nations, out of all the Goyi. upon Sus. 5483 in Hebrew. What does that mean? Originally, it was a bird. Flying vehicles, you see. And Isaiah 60, verse 8 backs it up, if you care to read it. What is this that I see flying like the clouds, flying among the clouds, back to their nests? That's what it reads, how it reads. And in chariots, if you go and look 2 Kings, I believe it's in chapter 2, chariots of Israel, the kind that fly. And they shall, in chariots, and, these chariots are covered. Of course, they're not open. And then, the ones that are locally, like in Syria and closer, won't be necessary for those to get on those vehicles, but they will get up on mules, swift beasts, dromedaries, whatever's available to my holy mountain, Jerusalem, saith Jehovah. Just as the children of Israel bring an offering in a clean vessel into the house of Jehovah, I will take priests and Levites. In other words, the entirety of Israel shall be a kingdom of priests, as the Levites once were for Israel. The whole house of Israel will become a kingdom of priests. Now, it says, for a new heaven and a new earth will I make. Yes, that's written in the latter part of Revelation, is it not? Shall remain before me, saith Jehovah, so shall this seed and your name remain. What seed? Israel. Now, it shall come to pass that from one, not new moon, but Shodesh, that's a month, from one month to another, and from one Sabbath to another, shall all flesh come to worship before me, saith Jehovah. So, when Jehovah comes back, Jehovah our Father in heaven, and when he comes back, it sets up the kingdom in Jerusalem. The kingdom will be occupied by Yehoshua, son of David. He will reinstitute the holy days and the Sabbath day, and it won't just be for the children of Israel anymore. It will also be for the Gentiles. And you know what's going to happen to any Gentile nation that does not send their representatives to Jerusalem? I'll show you. Zechariah 14. Let's go to Strong's Concordance again so we do not read this carelessly and haphazardly. So the remainder, so many words when they should have just put 2 words, the remainder of all the Goi, the people, the nations, which came against Jerusalem, shall go up from year to year and worship the King Jehovah of hosts, and to keep the feast of Sukkot. Or Sukkah. And it shall be that whosoever shall not come up from all the clans of the earth unto Jerusalem to worship the King, Jehovah, the Father, of hosts, there will be no rain. And if the family of Egypt go not up and come not, that normally don't have any rain, because they normally have any rain, they will receive a blow, a slaughter, the plague, and pestilence. The kind that Jehovah will smite the heathen, who will not come up to keep the feast of Sukkot or Sukkah. This shall be the punishment of Egypt and the punishment of all the goyim that do not come up to keep the feast of Sukkah. So yes, the Shodesh, the months, and the Sabbaths, every one of them will be brought back and reinstituted. At the appointed time. The key, folks, is at the appointed time this will happen. And just as Israel has to wait to be called from not my people to my people, so the Gentiles also have to wait, because the Gentiles cannot come before Israel. Let's go to, is it Hosea? Not my people. Hosea is a very, very good book to read. Right here in verse 10, it says, "Yet the number of the children of Israel shall be as the sand of the sea, which cannot be measured or numbered. It shall come to pass that in the time and place where it was said unto them, you are not my people, there it will be said unto them, you are the sons of the living Elohim." And at that point, when Israel is brought back and reinstituted, so shall the Sabbaths also be reinstituted for Israel. And since the Gentiles are not better than Israel, they're going to have to keep them too at the appointed time. It says, "And then shall the children of Judah and the children of Israel be gathered together, and they will appoint themselves one head," yes, the root of Jesse, "and they shall come up out of the land of the Gentiles, for great shall be the day of the valley of Jezreel." So I hope that this has been helpful. It's all about the appointed time. And as Paul rightly said to the Colossians, he said concerning the Sabbaths and the holy days, that they are not to be condemned concerning them at this time, but they are a shadow of things which are to come. Why? Because guess what? The Sabbath, the holy days, and the Shodeshes are coming back for good.